Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It is the Footy Fans podcast. Andrew, Santo, and Joe. We're returning after a 1 week hiatus.
Yep.
We had our own commitments. We had a soccer tournament actually that took place in London. The big Polish convention, if you want to call it. All the Polish teams in Ontario basically get together and have a big party and host the tournament in London. So we were part of that last weekend. So we were not able to get together for the podcast. We missed a bunch. A lot of things happened. The Queen passed away.
Yep.
That's one big one that happened. Obviously had big implications to the Premier League as well as other, European sporting events that were going on this past week or past 10 days, whatever it has been now. So we'll touch on that in a little bit. But off the bat, boys, after 1 week of being gone, how are we doing?
Good. Yep. Yeah. Pretty good. Happy to get some EPL back in the swing of things. Feeling pretty good after the Polish tournament.
Well, you guys didn't drink.
Yeah,
didn't drink or play.
We left after. Well, yeah, Joe didn't drink or play.
I had to help Andrew coach. That's what happened.
Yeah,
so, 1-1 record on Saturday. 1-1.
Yeah. Happy to say I scored first goal of the season after a disastrous season for me.
First and last.
Also missed my first PK of the season, which also usually happens in one season with Polonia. So that was good. It was a fun time.
That was good.
It was a good time.
I got my first goal in the last game, and I missed PK.
It was good.
Yeah. Well, it's always, especially there. I mean, I've only been there one other time, missed PK there. All my big PK misses have been for Polonia, except for the one I missed when I was a kid. There's always that PK that like sets you up as a kid. And there was the one I missed in the semifinal.
It sets you up for the right or wrong reasons.
Yeah, there's always the one.
Yeah. For me, it was the Bell River one. I don't know. Were you there? We were on the team.
I might have been there.
It was grade juniors.
It was at Bell River.
At Bell River.
Then I was there.
We were losing, I think 1-0 or 2-0. And before this, I was like consistently, easily scoring every single PK. Like I never missed.
You peaked in high school.
I peaked in high school. The net, I swear, was smaller. I'm like, it's not regulation. And I put it in my usual spot, and it went on just outside of the post. And since then, I have not taken PKs.
That's almost like 15 years ago.
More than that. It was probably like
17 years ago.
Well,
no, probably 15.
Yeah. Let's close with that.
Yeah.
I mean, your brother's not shooting any better now, so.
Well, yeah, missing a PK in the championship game that makes your team lose, that's problematic.
That's tough to come back from.
Yeah, and then missing another PK in a final game at the Polish tournament
in front of tens of people.
Yeah, tens of people. It's definitely at least 30 people. The Serbs one was worse in the championship game. Like there was everyone.
Yeah,
there was probably 125 people.
I was playing keeper in that match. Eh?
Yeah, I was goalkeeper. We had a goal line clearance.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Someone squeaked the ball right past Andrew, and I was like on the. It was like on the line. It was like pretty close, like a foot away from the line. I just booted it out. It's like, oh yeah, we made it to PKs.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That was a fun game though.
Yeah.
No, who that was? That was Nolan Bernard that shot that. I think. For Serbs, no one was on Serbs. He shot that. Yeah. It went through my hands because I'm short. I jumped and it slipped through my fingers. I'm wearing Jesse's like old gloves. I have no grip on them. Right through my hands, and Joe backs me up on the goal line, clears it away. Dungy was in that game.
Yeah. Dobie.
Oh my God. What a callback. Yeah, and we lost. So
yeah, we lost.
Not
because
good.
Because of this guy.
Because of Santiago. But yeah, like I said from the beginning of the show here, the Queen passing, I mean, historic, obviously, probably one of the bigger events to happen in our lifetime. Big implications, like I touched on, with the Premier League and any other competitions going on around this time. Matches being postponed, so matches actually being played on the day of, I believe, which was kind of nice. It was like touching. I think there's a couple Friday games that might have been played, or there's a couple Europa games that were played that, they did a moment of silence for the Queen, and they ended up playing the match still. But then that weekend, was it the weekend of the, what was it? Of course, it's not coming up.
Match week 7.
It was last weekend, so the 13th.
Yeah.
Or sorry, not the 13th. The
would have been
11th.
Yeah, the 9th, 10th, and 11th weekend.
Yeah, so that was obviously postponed. They'll get replayed some other time. And Santo made a good point, actually. He said that it had already condensed. Was it you, Joe, or Santo?
Santo.
It had already condensed year because of the World Cup happening during the run of play. there's another postponement that's happened where some teams are going to go a month without playing soccer.
Yeah, I've never seen this before.
Well, COVID.
Well, yeah, for sure.
But-
In COVID, but I've never seen a condensed season and then just games getting rescheduled, and then teams just how it works out. They just don't play for a month,
Mhm.
and they're getting a month where they're not playing already. Like, obviously with COVID, it happened with all the teams, but there's just few teams here that the last game in all competitions was
September the 3rd.
Yeah, September the 3rd. They're not playing till 1st of August. Man U luckily had a Europa League game. Otherwise, they would have been in the same boat. Or a few Europa League games. But yeah, I mean, it's just ironic how with a month being taken off, this postponement, whoever the Premier League scheduling guy is, I remember reading a blog post on how the difficulty is to organize the schedule and everything that goes on. He's got a job in his hands.
Yeah,
this year.
You got to squeeze in 3 more games into or 3 more sets of fixtures.
Mm-hmm. That's gonna be tough to do, man. It's gonna be a lot of midweek games, obviously, but it's gonna suck for the top teams. It just so happens, of course, it's all the London-based teams. So Chelsea, they're not gonna be able to play. Tottenham, they obviously had their game in this past week because they're playing away, I believe. Oh, sorry, no, they were home, right? This game here against Leicester, they were home against Leicester.
Yep.
But Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Arsenal game got postponed. So it was kind of a shit show.
Yeah.
But
at this moment in time, there's 14 Premier League games that need to be rescheduled.
That's gonna be tough.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be tough. It's not up to us, but it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
So there'll be a lot of midweek games coming our way in the next few months. Probably, hopefully, get them in before the World Cup starts. November the 13th, I believe, it kicks off. For everyone who doesn't know, it's an international break this weekend as well. So a time when it would have been nice to slip some games in because there's no games being played. They can't do it. It's international break.
Yep.
It's the last set of international fixtures to be taken before the actual World Cup kicks off in November in Qatar. So, it's your last tune-ups basically before your quote-unquote training camp begins.
Mm-hmm.
Once players go on leave for the World Cup. So, I mean, I'm not too invested in it. Obviously, Italy not qualifying kind of stinks for our standpoint. But we have the Canadian side who will have some international fixtures coming up, I believe. I think the CONCACAF teams are going to be playing around this weekend too.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we tune into that. But as far as this international friendlies go, I don't really pay too much attention to it.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys.
No,
I'll gear up for the time when it's the time. Friendlies. Yeah. If it's an actual qualifying match, then yes. But for international friendlies, I could care less. Canada could lose 5-0 to, I don't know.
I think they're playing Uruguay and Qatar.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. They could drop both matches 5-0. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's not going to transpire, the same way. Once the World Cup kicks off, I don't think they'll play their. I don't know if they'll play their best players. I don't know if Davies is going to play or not.
Yeah, we'll have to see because I mean, a friendly is a friendly, especially with the World Cup so close.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I've never really cared about international friendlies, but they get played like they do year after year.
Yep.
But not really a reflection of what's actually going to happen.
No, it's like preseason football. I remember the Lions went 4-0 in the NFL in their preseason football game 6-7 years ago. And that was the year they went 0-16.
Yeah.
So they were the preseason champs and they didn't win a game all season. So it doesn't mean shit when it comes down to the nitty-gritty of the games. But like I said before, we had a week off basically, or almost 2 weeks off since our last podcast. So a lot of things happened.
A lot happened.
Yeah. Thomas Tuchel's not at Chelsea anymore.
We could make a pod just on this. I mean, I don't know what to say, and I have so much to say. It's, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I'll start because I know I want to hear your end being a Chelsea fan.
I'm actually I don't have much of an opinion. I'm speechless. I don't know what to say, to be honest. You do yours.
I mean, I'm taking a few things here from things I've seen online and what people have said, but from my perspective, I don't know what else Chelsea's gonna look for. If Chelsea didn't have Tuchel and they were looking for a coach and Tuchel was available, I can confidently say they would probably go and hire him right now. You had a bad string of games. You're not doing like terrible. You're doing worse than you would expect to. But I remember the year Chelsea was like hovering in like 11th, 12th, or 13th, that disastrous year they had.
After they won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I again, it's with Chelsea. I thought maybe there would be a change with new ownership coming in, but obviously, with American owners and just the board that's at Chelsea, there has to be people there that are just obsessed with bringing in and firing managers super quick. I thought Tuchel was going to be the guy for Chelsea, kind of like Klopp and
Pep
Guardiola. But he just has a bad run of games, and then they just let him go. I mean, I don't want to touch this too much because this is mainly Joe's point, but like they built a team around Tuchel's system, and then they let him go. I know Joe's done like some research on that, so I'll let him touch on that. But I really don't like it. I mean, he's a great manager to have in the EPL. I don't think he's gonna have any trouble finding a new job at a top club, but this literally makes no sense to me whatsoever. There is a thing, we're on the outside. We don't know the ins and outs that's happening at Chelsea at the board. But I didn't see any pushback from the fans. I'm assuming the fans still loved him. He was like a great guy to have there.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand
how
like this is such a big loss of a manager for them. It's like no disrespect to Graham Potter. In my opinion, he's not as good as a manager as Tuchel. I know he has a history where he has the experience in the EPL. He can take teams and improve them, like he's done in the past. He does have the issue. I was watching and doing some research on kind of his statistics there. He has an issue with creating like quality chances and finishing the ball, which is what Chelsea is struggling with.
100%.
So why do you downgrade a manager when you have a top manager? All because you've had a bad string of games. Like it's, again, you have to give your managers time. All because he's been there a while. I don't get this thing where it's like, you have to be the best. You can't afford to do any period of a bad string of games. Otherwise you're out, which makes no sense because then you're never going to have a good manager long term that solidifies the club.
But even under Abramovich, that was the same mentality. So
Yeah.
Even with Todd Bowley coming in, it's not changing the culture of Chelsea from a management or ownership standpoint. It's still like, oh, okay, run a better run of form, change the manager, change the coach. And Todd Bowley coming from North America, we've seen it many, many times before in other North American sports, like hockey especially. If you get a bad run of games in hockey, you're gone. Like, I've seen managers before fired or coaches fired in hockey in the first, 6-7 games of the season. Like, similar to this.
Yeah.
Just because, you can pull that trigger, and there is a huge list of people that are lined up to take the seat, too. And it's kind of the same mentality that Chelsea's having right now, and with Abramovich before. If you get a bad run of form, or don't perform to the expectations that you think you should be performing to, the best thing to do is to fire the manager. Not the best thing, the easiest cop out.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I really don't.
I don't support it either. I'm not saying I support it, but I'm saying it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's because like Santos said, like you come off last season where he won, he's won trophies, obviously. But you spend what 200 or so million,
250
get him all these players that he feels he needs, but you also fail to get him a striker, and you have a rough start to the season, which isn't it's worse than expected. You're still in 7th with the game in hand. You've won your 3-1-2, which isn't the worst. I mean, the Champions League game didn't help, obviously.
Well, yeah.
But then you finally get a number 9 in Aubameyang, who has a good relationship with Tuchel. So you finally got him as number 9 to complete what he feels he needs, and then you fire him the next day after one game. That he gets.
Kind of hilarious.
It
sucks, but it's funny.
It's so strange. It's because I've heard some pundits say this. I guess they came out and said this was planned, we were thinking about it for a while, and it's probably not, because you spent all this money on players that he said he needed and all this
Right.
stuff. So if you knew you were going to make this change, why did you go and spend like all this money? If you like, or if you knew you were going to make this change, why not make it in the summer so you can bring in someone, give them like a little bit of preseason to get ready,
like Ten Hag with Man U.
Yeah. So very strange. Honestly, what it comes down to, which is probably more true, is like Tuchel's just like very difficult to work with, and Todd Bowley was probably just like, I've had enough of this guy.
After a month,
Probably. I don't know.
tough.
I don't know.
Okay. Chelsea had a difficult season last year, I think, too. Like they waited to the second last game in the year basically to qualify for Champions League. And I think, again, from Chelsea's standards and what ownership wants and what the fans expect, Chelsea should be a contender every single year.
Mm-hmm.
I have a level head. I understand that's very hard to do. Like, there's a reason why only 2 teams have won the EPL in the last three or four seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Or the same 2 teams, I should say. It's a very competitive league, obviously, but you do see it more times than not. There is 1 or 2 teams that just carry away, and like you see them go off in the distance, and that's just what it is. I think people around Chelsea, the club, they think that they're supposed to be in that group as well, and so when they're not there, they get pissed, right? They get heartbroken, and Chelsea qualifying at the very last minute, the last year into Champions League. They might take it as a small success, but I think also in their eyes, that's kind of a disappointment that's how they did it. And you could see Tuchel was having a tough time with the team. They had a terrible run of form last year for a couple of games. Like there was a week or a couple of weeks, or like a month maybe, where they were like, one win, 4 losses, and like 2 ties or something. You can't cut that. Like if there's ever time to do it, you should have fired him last year during that run of form. If you saw the wheels coming off the tracks that late, that early, then maybe take care of it then. And like Joe said, you get the rest of the summer to, make your own team. The fact that it happened this early, and like Joe just touched on, with not even a terrible run of form, like if you give them, let's just say, the win, so that they all have 7 matches played, Chelsea gets another win here, let's just call it that. They're only 5 points off of first, with only 7 matches played in the season so far. That's not a terrible spot to be in. You'll be in a Champions League spot. You'll be in Europa League spot. You're there. You're there with the big boys, with City, with Arsenal. Tottenham's had a great season so far. We'll touch on them in a little bit, but you'll be right there in the hunt. And for them to do it in this fashion after the game, I remember them saying that, it wasn't because of the result against Zagreb. It was definitely because of the result against Zagreb.
100%.
Like, that game happened, and Tuchel's press conference after the game, he was asked why they played so poorly, what happened, and his response was, I have no answer for you guys. Which probably wasn't the greatest thing to say.
Yeah.
But he was just basically like, I don't know why we played so bad. He's like, this isn't the team that I know we are, which kind of was another way to cover up, or a better way to cover up.
Yeah.
But his initial response was like, I don't know why. I don't know. Like, he was just confused.
Yeah.
Because they did play so poorly in Croatia in that match.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got sacked the next morning.
I mean, I think there is a case, too, that he probably lost the dressing room.
I would think so, too. But, I mean, we've seen it before. Like, I don't know with these Chelsea players, man, because we've seen it with Conte, with Mourinho. Yeah. I mean, Rafa Benitez was there for a little bit, and he's got a big personality, too, Benitez. And there's been so much turnover at Chelsea, too. Like, I don't know what the underlying factor is, but big personalities don't work well in Chelsea.
Yeah.
And maybe someone like Graham Potter, who seems more level-headed, who seems more calm, who has a psychology degree, I believe, from a university in England.
Yeah.
Maybe he is the right guy to fit in there. He's had, like Santo touched on, a lot of experience already in the EPL. With Brighton, obviously, he was in Sweden for 13 years, I believe, as a manager there. And even after his playing days, he went to school. He got educated. He's, spent time with players in development. And from what we've been hearing and reading, because obviously before this, you don't really know much about Graham Potter until the last 2 weeks. But in his previous seasons and years, he's been a really good player coach. Yeah. He's been able to find what works for certain players, what makes them tick, and gets the best out of them. And we've seen that with Brighton. I mean, they're 4th place right now for a reason. They don't have the best players in the league. Their best player, Mopé, just left this season to go to Everton. Their top goal scorer. So clearly, the way that they're playing now, only conceding 5 goals, having a 4-1-1 record, it's not by mistake. They're a good team. And it kind of sucks for Brighton that they're going to lose him, obviously, like right in the middle of this or beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I do think it was a £20 million buyout, though, or something for him to go.
Oh, yeah.
Or like I don't know if that was the actual number that was like already predetermined, like in previous seasons or years, if like for a manager buyout. But I believe like the actual number was like 20 million, like once it all came down to it. So it's almost like they got $20 million like for their coach.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty good haul for a side like Brighton. But for him to join Chelsea, he only had one game so far under his belt. It was a 1-1 draw in Champions League against Red Bull Salzburg. So, or was it Leipzig or Salzburg? Hold on a sec, actually.
RB
Leipzig.
RB Leipzig.
Why did I say It is Salzburg.
Yeah, RB Salzburg.
Jesus Christ. I watched that match, and honestly, he didn't have much time to gear up the guys, but like for that game, but it didn't look much different.
Yeah,
and like Joe said, like you get a guy in there Zasada said that you get a guy in there to try and change the chemistry of the team and the dynamic of the team, with a team that can't finish or create chances, with a manager who can't create chances.
Yeah.
So it basically was the exact same match under Tuchel that I saw at that game against Salzburg. But I mean, he's gonna have more time obviously under his belt with the guys now. Like the postponement because of the Queen's passing is gonna give him another training session or 2 or 3 to figure out exactly what he wants to do. He has his whole team with him, I think, that he brought from Brighton as well, his coaching staff. So he obviously knows the guys. The team can get acclimated to what he wants to do going forward. And it is a big change of pace at Chelsea because, like I said before, look at the past managers at Chelsea, all huge names.
Yeah,
right? Like Maurizio Sarri, Mourinho, obviously Conte, Ancelotti's been there, Benitez, like you can go on. And now they have like Graham Potter, Lampard. Jesus Christ, Lampard is there. Like you have huge names that have been involved with this club, and Antonio Conte got a Premier League title out of them. Mourinho got 3 titles out of them. But other than that, like the success has not really been there long standing. And maybe you just get somebody in there who, again, is completely different than what you normally have just to shake things up. And obviously, hopefully, we give him time.
Mm-hmm.
This is Todd Bowley's like first big signing, I want to call it.
Yeah.
Even excluding players because the manager is heavily involved with the players being chosen and transferred for. So this is Todd Bowley's decision. This is going to live and die with him. Right, and that's going to really change the dynamic of Chelsea supporters, I think, going forward too, in their, in our, belief with management. Because again, if you just fired your coach after 6 games, and then you bring in a guy who's unproven, that's on the ownership.
Yeah, for sure,
like 100%.
Yeah, yeah, and I like the whole situation where it's like they just didn't see eye to eye. I don't know, like. Who knows what goes on behind closed doors? But again, I can't see how there's like this huge benefit of letting Tuchel go. But like you said, it's gonna live and die with Todd Bowley. So we're gonna have to see how this Graham Potter play just works for Chelsea.
Like there wasn't many like Tuchel out chance or
that's
demands
what I mean. No one
or
was
wants or anything
calling for his head, which is why I just think it's like it was an issue with him and the board.
Must be because when I woke up and saw that the next day, I was like, again, I was confusion on my part. I'm like, I don't understand.
Yeah, no one was saying like, oh, like Tuchel out, and all this stuff. It wasn't like you're under massive pressure. Like, yeah,
and
I don't know.
Even from like more like involved in the club, like pundits and people over there in the UK, like the guys that are involved with Chelsea, that write for Chelsea, they're like, what the fuck? Like, because they didn't really see it coming, right? It wasn't something that was really discussed. Yes, it was an unfortunate start to the season. It wasn't, a 5-0 start that we hoped for, or kind of like what they did last season. It was a 3-horse race last year up until a certain point. Chelsea was like, off the gate really, really well. But again, it's just impatience, maybe. Frustration, I guess. And it would really suck if Todd Bowley comes in there just like firing from the hip, because I don't think I want that in my ownership. I want someone who's patient, right? You can't just be like, okay, this guy didn't do good for 15 matches, he's gone too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Fire 2 managers in the same season.
Yeah,
who knows?
I mean, Klopp's obviously Klopp's having a really bad season right now, and I'm sure it's in no one at that board's mind. It's like, oh, we gotta find a new manager because
He's lost his touch.
It's like
the
that's
best
not the
manager you've had
discussion.
in, like, 20 years.
They signed him. They gave him a new contract. They're probably going to stick with him for at least until that contract's done. And I heard a City say, and I know like it's just what they said, but it's probably true considering how well City's run. They're like, honestly, Pep can stay as long as he wants.
Oh yeah.
Like where I would even assume like if he had a really bad season and whatever didn't qualify for Champions League one year, I'd be surprised if they let him go. Just because even when the first year, I don't know if you watched the All or Nothing,
He struggled.
he really
Man City,
struggled,
yeah.
and the words out of the director's name, that guy, I forget his name. He's like,
Sheikh Mansour.
yeah, no, the like he's the owner,
The director.
the director, like
Right.
like I guess the connection between Sheikh Mansour
Oh,
and
okay.
City.
The middleman there.
He's like, yeah, like it was a very difficult time for him, and like he learned a lot that year as a manager. Just like completely different mindsets.
Like
Probably,
defended him.
yeah, probably completely different mindsets to what was goes on at some other boards. So
Yeah, because they had like a plan. They knew what they were getting with Pep,
yeah,
and they knew the plan. And you can't argue that they were wrong.
that's the kind of you really need like long term strategic thinking, which is probably what Arsenal is doing right now too.
Mhm.
They're like Arteta came and they gave him a new contract even before he qualified for Champions League. Even when they were having that terrible run of form at the start of the first year he was there. But they're like, nope, this is the plan. And they stuck by him even when they're like, oh, everyone's like, oh, Arteta out. Which is why I kind of like Kroenke when he was like, yeah, you're going to hear all this noise, but we're going to stick by the plan. And, you know, obviously it's paid
Paying
off,
off
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big time for sure it is.
Yeah, with that said, I think we can go to just talk on Arsenal here first. Sitting first right now. 18 points, one ahead Man City. Like Andrew's comment about, is Arsenal the real deal this season? I mean, you see it all the time, like someone's just hanging out at first, having a good run in their first like 4 games, but 7 games in, they're still at the top. They have 1 loss, 6 wins.
Loss was to Man U.
Yeah, and you know,
Side note.
it's obviously a top club. Those are the games that Arsenal's obviously going to want to win going forward, but you know, this is just the season that's looking like what they can hope for. I don't know, like I do still see City as the favorites, but Arsenal is just putting in performances that are keeping them at the top, and I don't think, for me, it's a question on if they're going to win Champions League. I think it's a season where they're going to be competing for the title. We're going to have to see how. Normally, I would say we're going to have to see how they manage through Christmas break, but that's not even going to happen this year.
No.
We're going to have to see how they manage when they start getting a big string of games. But I don't know. I think they're going to be able to handle it this year.
They'll have Europa League, like more bigger games in Europa League.
Yeah.
They'll have the big break with the World Cup happening where basically their entire squad will probably be gone. So it's going to be the coming back from that might be tough for a lot of teams, not just Arsenal, but for a lot of big clubs. Coming back off of the World Cup this year is going to be a test.
Yeah.
Because you could be on huge highs and lows depending on how the World Cup goes for your specific country. And then just coming back and being acclimated again with your teammates, and who knows? Like, what if you have some bad blood? Remember Rooney and Ronaldo?
Yeah.
You know,
Way
in
back
the World,
when.
in the
Yeah.
World Cup or European Cup, whatever it was, and they're bad blood. They had to come back to United together, and then Ronaldo left the next season, I think. So we'll see how that obviously goes out. But yeah, Arsenal, man, they're a surprise team this year. This has been a hell of a job by them, and Arteta especially. Talk about controlling big personalities. His personality is pretty boisterous and big too, and loud.
Yeah.
You see that for the All for Nothing documentary that was on last year. But I'm not going to get back to Chelsea. I'm just going to say one more point. I was looking at like Arsenal, Man City, and Liverpool, let's just say. In the last 10 seasons, they've had 3 managers. Chelsea has had 10 managers in the last 10 seasons. And Chelsea has arguably had more success than all those clubs. Arguably.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not domestically, but like just like as a whole. Like a couple of Champions Leagues, a couple of Premier League titles, FA Cups, all these other big wins with 10 different managers at the helm in 10 seasons.
Yeah.
Sorry, 10 years.
I think my argument to that would be like, I think with the well-oiled machine that City and Liverpool are now, I would see the next 5 or so years where Chelsea probably won't win too much.
But I'm just saying, like you look at Liverpool, and they had Benitez for the longest time.
Yeah.
Then they get Brendan Rodgers, and then they get Klopp. Okay.
Yeah.
City had Pellegrini, Mancini, and then now Pep.
Yeah.
Chelsea's had Mourinho, Conte, Benitez, Ancelotti, Villas-Boas, Lampard, Tuchel, all in like 10 seasons.
Yeah.
And they've still been able to get like ways to win, but it's like we can't just have one guy and just let him ride.
Yeah.
Which is what drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Like you look at these guys who are getting success streak, they're winning trophies, they're doing what they can do for your club, still turning out results, but it's not the result that you want. And it's like that's why the management or ownership for Chelsea drives me nuts, because they just expect so much. Like they're becoming the new Arsenal. Like you expect to be like winning all the time.
Yeah.
We give you FA Cup, we give you Super World Cuppity Cup, whatever the hell that is, but it's like it's still not good enough. Well, I don't know. You have to look past the manager sometimes then too, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. It's one of those things where, like you said, hopefully it's not the board there at Chelsea just firing from the hip, trying
Seems
to
like
get quick results. So, yeah, hopefully they can just get solidified with someone again. I thought Tuchel was that guy, and obviously now he's not going to be.
But I mean, Graham Potter, he's not going to win you championships.
No, he's not going to win the Premier League or Champions League.
Well, maybe not this season, but I can't see him being like a force to reckon with like the next coming years. Like
Yeah,
Joe
it's
just kinda said, like,
very tough.
Like you can't look at the names of like, okay, Arteta's climbing the ranks now, like he's doing a hell of a job. But then you put like Arteta there with Klopp and with Pep, maybe getting close to there. Graham Potter.
Yeah,
where's Graham Potter in the mix?
Yeah. It's funny because like in the Champions League final when Tuchel beat Pep, I was like, yeah, like, it's Tuchel. It's funny because it's the same team, but like if Chelsea and City were to go like head to head in a massive game, like it just seems like it's Pep who's like a Goliath against Graham Potter in like a big game. It's
like the tactics.
Yeah, it's just
like the way,
different.
And like this is, I would want to see like what it's like going under like a top manager, like because we look at the All or Nothing documentary, we keep bringing that up, but like
watch it. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh yeah, watch it, because the way the players talk is like, yeah, like with Arteta, like he makes me see the game like differently than I ever thought was like possible. So it'd be like super interesting to see like what are these guys, like what do managers at this level, especially with Arteta. I think he's an outlier because like yeah, he's new. But when you spend like 5 seasons at City under Pep Guardiola, like
and play at a really high level,
yeah, and was one
for
of
as
the
long as he
best
did,
midfielders, like totally different like ball game
than just Graham Potter showing up.
Yeah, like, very tough. So it'd be interesting to see like how tactical they are, because I heard like Pep, like obviously you can see in the documentary like Pep's like a maniac with how in depth he goes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very tough, especially now with. Like especially like Klopp and like we said Pep and Arteta. Is Graham Potter like that tactical where he can like manage a massive Champions League game against Real Madrid and figure that out? It's gonna be like,
he's never had a management
very
role
tough
in Europa League. He's never had it in Champions League, obviously. I don't know if he's ever been in a final before.
Yeah, I mean, and it's gonna be tough. Like if you're looking like, oh, we want someone that's gonna like get us fourth, like maybe he's like going to be solid for that, but like if you're looking to win trophies, it's gonna be very, very tough. And like Santos said, like you brought in Tuchel, who's like has experience winning big trophies.
Mm-hmm.
He was probably like your best bet to continue that. So I think it would have been a better move to like try and figure out how to make that relationship work if it was like a relationship thing than rolling the dice with Graham Potter.
I know the names of like Zidane and Simeone and Pochettino were even being tossed around, and they settled on Graham Potter.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm really not trying to like throw shade at Graham Potter. I don't know much about him like personally. Like I don't know. I mean, I know he's a Brighton manager, and obviously we just touched on earlier. Like he's had a lot of experience, but having experience as a manager and as a player manager is one thing, but having experience winning is very, very different.
Yeah.
And even like we said with Arteta hasn't really won shit as a manager, but he was there with Arsenal.
Yeah.
You know, he was in finals with Arsenal. He's won FA Cups. I don't know if he was there when they won Champions League or the Premier League last. I'm not sure, but he's probably won a Europa League once or twice. You know, he's traveled. He's been through Europe in those tough matches in Spain and Portugal, in going to Croatia and having a gritty match against Zagreb. Like he's been there before. Graham Potter.
Yeah,
Graham Potter. Like, you know what I mean? Like. It's just very different atmosphere being at the helm of a club that's just happy to be there, and then being at a club as big as Chelsea.
I love how you said it's like, oh, not to go back to this, not me going back to Chelsea.
I know,
back on Chelsea.
I didn't mean to do it like honestly. I didn't mean to do it like that. I just wanted to say before we jumped across to like the other clubs, I just wanted to put that out there with like Chelsea not having just confidence and reliability in their managers when they're still being able to turn results. Opposed to clubs who had only 3 managers in the last 10 years who get less results.
Right.
Like if you look as a whole, like over the last decade, if you look as a whole, Chelsea has probably won at least 20 trophies or something, or 15 trophies in like all competitions. Liverpool could have had like 7. Mm-hmm. You know, Man City obviously probably had a lot. Arsenal probably had like maybe 5. Let's just say I have no idea. I'm throwing out random numbers, but I just know Chelsea's won a lot. But it's like a 2-year stay, then you leave.
Yeah.
Like it's wild. To go across though to Man City a little bit more. This Haaland guy's a problem.
I know. I love the text you sent. Just Haaland is a problem.
He is. Unless it's you guys and big Man City guys, you love him. But for anybody else, he's a fucking problem. He's good. He's good.
He's like
understatement of the year. I mean, there's even like Barstool Sports is like retweeting Haaland goals now because it's just like it's breaking news. It's like must see TV. You know, it's you got Aaron Judge for the Yankees hitting his like 60th home run of the year, and then you got like Haaland scoring his Cruyff goal against Dortmund in their Champions League match. It's like those are their back-to-back posts for Barstool Sports, which is like getting EPL coverage now apparently. He's really good, and I'll let you guys kind of run away with it a little bit more because I know you guys are really on his jock about this stuff. But he's scoring literally every way possible.
Yep.
And I'll let you guys go on, but I saw like a really cool tactic thing I'll talk about later that I saw being broken down during one of the broadcasts. But yeah, man, he's really fucking good.
Yeah,
he's
like
really good.
The goal he scored against Wolves. It wasn't even like the nicest goal, but it was so good in the sense that he's just gonna score on like any half chance he gets. Like he gets the ball, collects it, runs at the guy, kind of like makes him jockey one way, shoots it, doesn't even connect on it, still goes in.
He turned him around.
Yeah, he did turn him around, give him opening. But like his shot wasn't that great, but he just scores. Like he it's one of those things where he it feels like he doesn't have to work. Obviously, he's working really hard for every goal, but it just seems like if he gets any sniff of goal, he's going to find a way to put it in the back of the net, which is the opposite of what, City's had a lot in the past and like teams struggle with. It's like they have to have so many chances and they have to have like a really good chance to be able to score, where he's just like, give him a little sniff at something and he's going to like find a way to make something happen. Like even with the Dortmund goal, like awesome assist by Cancelo outside of the boot, outside the box, just curls right to him. But that ball 90% of the time is going past the striker out like across out for a goal kick, maybe just going across the box. But Haaland here just decides to jump up like with his foot, hits it on the outside of his left foot, going across the goalie and in. Like,
just disgusting.
Yeah. Like those goals don't normally go in, but he knows where to be. And he just creates chances for himself, knowing that he's eventually going to score one if he takes enough of them. The fact that he's just 22 is like really scary. He's like the hottest commodity right now in football, and he's still in his early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy. I mean, we said it last year. I thought that was City's best chance at winning the Champions League the year they lost to Chelsea. But again, I think this year with the added dynamic of Haaland and him just scoring like he is, I would be pretty surprised if they don't win this year, because it seems like no team is really being able to handle them, especially with the come from behind wins they're getting. They're playing bad and they're finding ways to win, which City struggled with for forever. They're just finding ways to win when they play bad, which is like a really serious thing if you're opposing City.
Scary,
knowing that they can claw back.
Scary.
Because you just never feel safe. It's crazy. I mean, I don't know how to say it. I've never seen someone perform like this. A new striker come in the EPL. He's like breaking every record. Breaks the record for scoring a goal in his first 4 Premier League away matches. 11 goals in 7 matches. Wild.
Yeah. I think he has one of the most dangerous I don't know what to call it, talents, but like his instinct,
his repertoire.
Yeah, in his repertoire, his instinct for finding goals is like probably one of the best I've seen. Like you always say, like, oh, strikers are always in the right spot at the right time, and Santo alluded to it, that he, and like we talked about the other day, most strikers you'll find like, oh, they have to have like 3, 4, 5 chances in a game to put it in. He just needs like 1. Like his first chance, if he's like in a decent, like it's gonna go in. Yeah. If he has any kind of chance. And yeah, I mean, I don't think a lot of people are saying it now just because like after 11 goals, you can't really harp on it. But like a lot of his goals are in the 6, but that just comes with the instinct. He's just like half a second, like with the, what was the goal that we were talking about? The De Bruyne goal where he whipped it across. Was that against Wolves? Or
no,
Nottingham. No. I forget who it was against.
I think it was Nottingham Forest, I want to say.
Yeah, but you just see like, who was it? Foden, when he like back heels it to De Bruyne and he's going to cross it. You look and you see Haaland, and he moved like way before any defenders even knew what was going on, and just that instinct and being like that second earlier than everyone else to like foresee what's happening in the play. That's why he's getting in such these good areas with where most strikers would have like been like, again, it's just a second, but like that's what it takes, and that's why he's so good. He's just he's literally one step ahead of everyone else, and his steps are like really, really big, so it makes a big difference.
I think that was their Champions League game, their first Champions League game.
Yeah,
I want to say.
Yeah,
maybe,
Sevilla.
I don't know, but yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, he must be Pep's like dream, because like obviously Pep, like we said, he's a master tactician, but it seems like Haaland is just always 1 or 2 steps ahead of where the play's developing. So like Joe said, like he sees the play happening before it happens, so he knows how to get to that spot.
Yeah,
I mean, and he's a specimen, man. Like his size and his strength and his speed, mix that in with like his instinct and his goal scoring ability. Like he's a world-class player right now.
Animal.
And he's an animal. And like I said, you mix that in with like just being in the right place, right time. You get a couple lucky ones. Get one off the face, off the ass. I'm sure it'll happen for him too. But just to be able to read the play and get that extra step on somebody, like you can't teach that.
No,
that's just like it's in his DNA, just to like look at that and say, okay, I gotta be in this spot now.
Yeah. And
like as a striker, like I said, as a striker his size, he can just kind of also see a play going in the wing and just take a chance going into the 6-yard box or into the penalty spot area, because he can just win any kind of head ball. Game against Dortmund, clearly he can be acrobatic and like score in such different ways. And I think it might have been Alan Shearer was actually on a broadcast where he was being an analyst, and they're talking about Man City, and they're showing clips from previous years. Might have been last year only, or previous years before that, but they're showing clips of when De Bruyne gets the ball in the middle of the field, and they rotate the camera and they show him looking upfield basically, and it's just no one there. If De Bruyne receives the ball like at the center line, or if he's already kind of a few steps inside the opposing half, he receives the ball and on the pitch, there's no one ahead of him to play the ball to.
Mm-hmm.
And then they showed a couple clips this year. It's like the exact opposite. He gets the ball at the halfway line, turns up the field, and Haaland's already making a run. Like you already see him like on like the last man, like making a through ball run.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed like 5, 6, 7 different scenarios just of this season where that's been available for De Bruyne, and look what's been happening.
Yeah, just assists galore.
It's just that extra dynamic that Man City never had. the past 5 seasons with Pep basically, up until Aguero left the side and retired. But having Haaland there is just like a godsend, and they took their time to get him. I mean, they took their time getting a pure striker. I'm glad they didn't bite on Harry Kane. I'm glad they didn't bite on Ronaldo when they maybe had a chance to last year.
Yeah.
Waiting for Haaland, making the opportune moment to get him now for such a good deal like they did. I mean, it's crazy. And yeah, he had his success with Dortmund, obviously, but being able to see him on like the biggest stage all the time, every single weekend with Man City, and going to see him in Champions League like throughout his career, throughout his his career, it's gonna be awesome to watch.
Yeah,
it's a joy to watch. It really is.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like even with the whole like 6-yard thing, where it's like, oh, if it's so easy to score in the 6, and yeah, okay, like everyone do it, right? Like it's like you said, you can't argue with like how often he's scoring. You don't get lucky breaking all these records.
No.
There's obviously something he's doing that no other strikers are doing at this point. So yeah, I'm excited. Like, I really enjoy watching him play, week in, week out. De Bruyne's just probably loving it because he's just he can just put in balls in the box. Like he can distribute probably better than anyone on the planet right now. And to have someone like Haaland on the end, like he's gonna break all the assist records in no time, assuming all like keeps going well.
22
Yep.
years old.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
9 years older than this guy.
Gross.
Like where's he gonna be in his prime when he's like 27? If this keeps going.
And yeah, I mean, knock on wood, obviously injuries and everything. Kind of sucks that he's not going to be in the World Cup this year.
Yeah.
He could play for England, I think, if he wanted to.
Well, I don't think
Maybe
he
not
can
now.
because he always
But he
already
could have had a chance to play for England.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he's born in England, I think.
Yeah, he was born, I think, either in Leeds or really close to Leeds. I know he knows Calvin Phillips pretty well.
That's why they signed Calvin Phillips. Not
He's
because
like,
they
it's
needed
like,
him.
come, we gotta sign my best friend.
Yeah, I'm
Fuck's
pretty
sake. Guys haven't even played yet.
Yeah,
He has played a little bit.
He's got some injury things.
88th minute.
But I mean, okay, that signing too. Like Calvin Phillips, like he's pretty solid, but he probably went there.
Just torch Leeds though. Like
yeah, I mean, looking at it, and he's pretty young, so they do need a backup CDM, and you're not. But they do. Like if anything happens to Rodri, they do need someone.
Yeah, Fernandinho's not there anymore.
Yeah,
right?
Fernandinho's not there, so you do need. It's like it's probably clear to him. It's like, yeah, I can go to City, play like, and that's the thing. If you go to City, at least with Pep, like Calvin Phillips is really gonna improve. That's the one thing with Pep
That's
going
true.
there. Like other clubs, even like Man U, Chelsea, probably in particular, like players would go there, and like you look at Pulisic, he's been riding the bench. He for sure hasn't improved, but like you look at Foden, I always go back to Foden. What Pep did with Foden is like the best example of like how good of a coach he is, just in terms of actually like developing players and like managing him. Because like Foden was getting like no game time for like 3, 4, 5 years, but he probably was in his ear all the time. It's like, stay here. You're gonna get your time. Just like keep learning under me. Keep learning under these guys. You're gonna be like a world-class player. Now he's in the starting lineup and like super key. So it's easy for maybe someone like Calvin Phillips to go in and be like, yeah, I can go to City, not play, but like Pep's obviously a really good coach. And I'm like, even if I ride the bench, I'm pretty confident I'm gonna like really improve as a player.
Yeah.
So that's probably a good decision by him, even though he's like not playing too often. I still like being able to play under Pep's probably a really good decision.
Yeah, good point on Foden. He's been there, signed as a youth in 2009, and he's made his senior debut in 2017. And he never never had like a loan spell anywhere. Just like kind of rode the Man City train up until he made his what's it called, like first team start.
Yeah,
And he's had 104 appearances now in the Premier League
yeah.
at 22 years old.
Yeah.
And it was even like 3 years ago where it was like he's coming off the bench in like the 80th minute.
Yeah.
And he's like, a really good players. But then, the next year he's like, he's starting some games. And now it's like he's on the starting lineup almost every single game for big matches. So
I still think he stinks.
He's pretty good.
I don't think he's that good. I don't know.
He's pretty good. He's
I would-
a little bit selfish. Haaland could have 13 goals right now if it wasn't for Foden.
I think I would take him over Jack Grealish though. What's going on with Jack Grealish? I know he just scored against Wolves.
Yeah,
What's going on there?
I think I've heard people talk about this, and it does make sense to me, but it also makes sense with what I think Pep brought him for. When he was on Villa, a lot of his play was collecting the ball around the middle of the field.
The middle, yeah.
Running at defenders, drawing fouls, and taking them on one-on-one. So it was like, collecting the ball and running at people. With City, he's on the wing, gets the ball, and they slowly move up the field. They play a lot of possession games. So now he's collecting the ball and like passing it off, collecting the ball and passing it off. He gets a few chances to run at defenders, which he does okay for City, but it's a completely different system from what City's expecting than with Villa, where in one sense he's not taking as much risk as to run at defenders and losing the ball because City really want to keep the ball. But again, that's what City needs. He's just like a piece of the puzzle, where Villa, it was like up to him to get his team up the field. And that's all he had to do. So I think just being at Villa, he had more opportunities to stand out and get goals for them. Where, like Pep said, he's not judging Grealish on his assists or his goals, but where he fits in the club. Because when he is on, he does run at defenders and he gets down that wing pretty well, and he does keep possession. And he does release the ball, I think, pretty well, which, a lot of, especially outside of City, where they don't get pounded for just dribbling at players, where he's not really selfish and losing possession a lot. I do think he does need to take a little more risks with running at defenders and taking chances. And I think he's just like playing really conservative at this point and just taking his chances when they come, but he's not getting a whole lot of chances. So yeah, I think maybe he just has to take a few more risks, but then again, if he's coming in the side and City's still winning games, like everyone's contributing to them winning games. So I think that people just need to manage his expectations of what he was brought to City for. But then again, there has to be onus on him to actually perform and like do something and take some risks, especially when they're ahead.
Yeah.
It is just... Oh, go ahead, Joe.
No, I was just going to say, I think, because if he was bought for like 40 million, no one would probably care. You know what I mean? But it's just the fact that he was bought for like 100 million.
Yeah,
like,
and that's the
price
thing.
tag.
It's
the price tag's not
price
his fault,
tag
right?
is way really weighing on him.
Yeah.
He did score on the weekend, which was a good goal to take. But
And drew a red card.
yeah,
Jesus
got,
Christ.
I
You're gonna
saw that.
talk
I was
about
like, what? Just got
Yeah.
cleats to the stomach.
And the defender was trying to plead his case too. He was just like, I went for the
I was
ball.
like,
went for the
it was like
ball.
you literally karate chopped him in the chest.
Yeah, he lifted up his shirt. All you see is just a massive red like bruise on his like kidney.
Yeah. Terrible.
For anyone that didn't see it, ball came in, bounced high. Grealish went to go play. Defender like jumped in the air and literally like karate like kick studs right to the kidney on Grealish. Straight red. Can't really argue.
He
Yeah.
tried.
He
Collins.
tried.
is
He tried
out.
to argue.
Yeah.
Good Irish boy.
But if you go and I go back to something similar to Foden, but you look at Riyad Mahrez when he first got to City, and Mahrez really struggled. I don't know if you guys remember, but he really struggled when he
Remember
got
when he
there.
skied the PK over Liverpool?
Yeah,
Yes.
there was that. He really wasn't scoring. He was like scrounging for goals, and
Good pull,
then
Santi. Good pull.
Yeah.
2, 3 to second, third year there. I mean, I think last year he was like their top goal scorer now.
Yeah.
So it just goes to, I think Pep's really, really, really good at getting the best out of signings. I would say the only one I know that hasn't worked out for Pep was Danilo, and Jesus did like really well. I think he just struggled to solidify the number 9 spot with Aguero and what have you. But most of the time, Pep knows how to gets the best out of someone. So we'll see what happens this season, and even next year. I'm assuming he's still going to be there, but I wouldn't be surprised if like Grealish just like turns it on and he's like a solid like 12, 15 goals a season person for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just to kind of touch on what Joe was saying, he made a good point too with the Grealish price tag. I was just gonna say when you're the guy, when you're the man for a certain club, and then you leave, that's obviously tough. Like when you're the man, like he was the captain for Aston Villa.
Mm-hmm.
When Mahrez left Leicester, him and Vardy were like the dynamic duo. Like Vardy stayed, Mahrez left. He's a bit younger, was probably more sought after than Vardy was maybe at the time, but he left and then had a poor season. So I think it's just like that coming down factor too, because like you go from being, like I said, the man at Villa, the man at Leicester, and now you're getting mixed into a group of guys that are like all world class, and then you can't really find your place in the side. That's gotta be difficult.
Yeah,
like we said, like Grealish going to Man City was like, there's already 5 guys that play his role on that team.
Yeah.
So I'm like, where are you gonna go? It's like he's not gonna kick Bernardo Silva out of position. Mahrez was obviously a difficult one, but Sterling was there last year when he showed up still. Foden obviously still kicking around. Like it was a tough room to like walk into, I think. And then like Joe just made the kicker, his $100 million price tag. Like you're carrying a lot of baggage with you, right? To perform and to have huge expectations. And again, it just alludes to Pep being not just a tactician, but like you said too, like a player manager, to be able to tell him to like be patient, wait your turn, because like who wants to hear that?
Yeah,
like I said, you go from being like the biggest name on your team to being a huge signing. Put your name in lights on the marquee, and then you're barely playing. Yeah. Or you're barely finding your form and you're being told to be patient. It's like, I paid my dues. I was patient and I was the best player on my team. Now I come here and I don't get any PT. That's difficult. But like you said, Pep just kind of knows how to deal with big personalities and egos. And there's a reason why he's the best manager in the world. Yeah. One of the best managers in the world.
I mean, in terms of tactics and like player management, he's right up there.
Oh yeah. I can't hate on him too much. I can't be like not true to like, to the game. Like he's obviously like really, really good, but
yeah.
My mom said I look like Ryan Peavy.
What's that?
My mom just sent me a text. Do you know who Ryan Peavy is?
She didn't say.
Does it look like me?
You do not look like it.
Yeah.
If you look like that guy and you say that you don't look like what's that journalist's name that's on Joe Rogan?
That guy. Isn't it Andrew too?
No.
You do not look like this guy. What?
I think my mom sent me a text saying my aunt thinks I look like him.
I don't even know if I've said this.
No.
What's his name?
Yeah, I know.
Tim Pool.
Tim Pool.
I don't like
Shout out to Tim Pool if Tim Pool ever listens to this podcast. Or there's
you
some,
and Andrew look the
SEO
same.
Thing that
I don't like Tim Pool.
Yes, you
Andrew
do.
Iorio looks like Tim Pool.
I look more like Ryan Peavy.
No
chance. Everyone, go look it up. Tim Pool. He's a journalist. I think he's independent now. Used to work for some big journalism companies. Watched this guy on Joe Rogan, and immediately I just saw Andrew. With
I was like, oh, that's Andrew.
Yeah,
Andrew's on Joe Rogan. I was like, is that?
I'll go on Joe Rogan.
There's certain obviously you could look at different angles of look at this is you. That's you.
That one picture, maybe
you. That looks like
every picture of him.
I think he's
like
slightly Asian.
He is.
Yeah, he's like half Asian.
And I think, he said he got COVID really bad because maybe there's some thing, but he did get COVID really bad.
That's my joke clicked on too.
But yeah, this is everyone. We're looking at pictures of Tim Pool.
This looks like
this looks.
For the record, I don't look like this guy.
So everyone, if you can look up Tim Pool and say whether you think Andrew looks like Tim Pool, just so he put his mind at rest, because he does.
Jesus Christ.
Tottenham Hotspur. Only other unbeaten side in the EPL. That was a smooth transition. People might think that we cut that, but that was just
just natural transition.
Yeah,
that was not cutting whatsoever.
I'm done this Tim Pool conversation.
Yeah.
Tottenham. I mean, hell of a game from Son. Obviously, his biggest game of the season. His basically his breakout game of the season.
Yeah.
Shut up, Joe.
No, I'm just looking at more pictures of Tim Pool.
Yeah, I know. He's bald. God damn
That's
it.
a bad picture. This doesn't look like you.
You look like cue ball.
Oh, jeez.
Tough. It's tough to come back from that.
Yeah, Son just
take it away, Santo.
No, I was gonna say like it was funny because I went on Facebook and I saw a highlight of him scoring against Leicester last season. I think it was just like a banger from outside the box, left foot top corner. And then this game just comes and gets a hat trick with his first 2 goals outside the box, just
Beauties,
bangers
eh?
again.
Yeah.
Third goal, kind of a break, still tough finish, puts it in. But yeah, he kind of broke out a little bit with this game, and the point I wanted to touch on, I don't know if it was right before the game, but obviously with the struggles he's had this season, people started asking Conte questions about Son, and he said that no one's undroppable, obviously indicating that if he needs to drop Son and not be part of the team because he's not performing, then he's willing to do that, which is fair. I mean, you obviously have to give the players who perform time, but if they're not performing, at some point you got to try and find what's going to work. But I just love it when players are under pressure and they just go and perform and just kind of stick it to the critics. And he did exactly that. I mean, basically saying like, hey, like if you don't perform, like you could find yourself where you're not playing as much. And then he goes and gets a hat trick.
And that's the way
totally
to manage
love.
a player. That's the way to manage a player.
Yeah.
Antonio Conte is obviously a fiery guy. We know that. But
You don't say.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think he would go and like berate Son in the locker room or something.
No.
It would be a conversation behind closed doors. He's smarter than that. He's a leader on the team. Him and Kane obviously are the 2 longest, and Lloris are probably the 2 longest standing guys on the team. He's one of the most valuable, obviously, too, and just crucial. And he had a shitty start to the year. No goals in 6 matches. And yeah, Conte put him on the bench. He made a statement, right? He kind of did the same thing with Kane. Well, he didn't do the same thing with Kane. He kind of rode Kane into the ground last season when he wasn't performing well. And then Kane had like a little resurgence midway through the year and helped Tottenham actually clinch Champions League towards the end of the season. But in Son's case, being a producer like he is and being so heavily like relied upon to generate goals, to score goals, for him having such a poor start to the year, Conte made, like I said, a statement. And yeah, Sandro touched on it. He came back and showed him up, proved the critics wrong, scored 3 goals in 13 minutes behind a 6-2 victory over Leicester. And if Tottenham's in second place right now, tied for second place with 5 wins and 2 draws, and Son hasn't scored a goal yet all year, watch out.
Yeah.
Because if he gets cooking, because like Kane's obviously been doing his part this year. I think he's second or third in the league with the goals, but I mean Son's right there now with scoring 3 himself. But if Son can get going too and start producing more, because he's creating chances too. He's not he hasn't done anything. He's just not getting on the score sheet like he used to. But if you can get behind him now and start generating more offense, watch out for Tottenham. I mean, they're not out of this game either. They're only 1 point back from Arsenal, tied with Man City on record and on points. Plus 11 goal differential. So they're there. They're scoring goals. They're only conceding 7 goals on the year so far. They're top, 5 in that category. They've had a great start to the season so far.
Yeah.
And like I said, if he can heat up as well, they can make a good push into the break for the World Cup, and then we'll see what happens in the new year with Tottenham too.
Yeah. Like I said, the only undefeated side with City, 5 wins, 2 draws. They're up there, and they're another team that I wouldn't have thought they'd be up there for the title race. We'll see if they can continue this run, but I don't think any of us predicted Arsenal, City, Tottenham run at the top.
Arsenal, City, Tottenham, Brighton at the top.
Brighton,
top 4.
Yeah, Brighton. Here we go. And Graham Potter takes a job for a team.
He leaves
places below.
He leaves.
Yeah. But no, it's super exciting. I still always say I want to go in my lifetime and see a team go unbeaten, but like a real unbeaten run. Arsenal's the Invincibles, but they finished with, I think, like the 8th most points in the EPL. Like the one season City had where they had like 1 loss and 2 draws and all the rest were wins. They had way more points than Arsenal did in their unbeaten season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I want to see a team go unbeaten, but like a serious unbeaten.
Like 3 ties.
Yeah. Like not a lot of ties and just go. So we'll see. I don't know if Tottenham's going to be that team over City. But I...
Probably not.
Yeah, I would say that's like a massive long shot.
Yeah.
But we've seen long shots before. We've seen Leicester win the EPL. So
The segue.
Whoa, this guy. Speaking of Leicester.
Speaking of Leicester.
completely unintentional. But yeah, let's talk about Leicester.
What do you want to say?
What is
They're
happening?
not going to win the EPL this year.
Like I just said, if Tuchel gets fired after the season that he's had, the start of the season that he's had, and Brandon Rodgers is still here at this point, there is definitely something wrong with the Premier League this year. But I said here that their next match is October 3rd for Leicester. They play against Nottingham Forest, who was one spot ahead of them in the table. If they don't get a positive result that game, he's got to be sacked.
Has to be.
Or I think that it's possible that he even gets sacked before that. You have at least 2 more weeks before your next match. Just bite the bullet now. The guy's 0-6-1, 0 wins, 6 losses, 1 draw, and they're not playing good. Like they're not in the games that they should be in. They're not even in.
Yeah.
And then in the game, I know it's never good to fire a manager. It sucks for all parties. But if you have 0 wins, 5 losses, and a draw, and you're not playing well, and then you go to Tottenham and get shit on 6-2,
Yeah.
you should be fired the next game. That's the perfect time to okay, we need to mix it up.
Yeah.
We know there's postponements happening for the season so far. There's going to be time off more. They're not playing until October 3rd. Just let him go.
I mean, it's tough because he's actually a really good manager, which is why this is really strange. But if I go back and look what Everton did with Rafa Benitez, where they kept him way too long, he lost 5 games in a row, which that was strange too because they made a lot of big signings. They had on paper they had really good players, and Rafa Benitez is obviously a really good coach, but it was just not clicking. Not working, but they stuck by him and they lost all those games and they were just sliding down the table, and then they find themselves in a relegation battle. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on with Leicester. It would be a good time to probably change things up because you probably will beat Nottingham Forest, hopefully, if you're Leicester. But is that really gonna be the telltale that you turn things around? Probably not. I don't know who do they play after that.
They play Man United October 9th.
Yeah, and it's just
Leicester.
Oh, Leicester. Oh,
Leicester's
sorry. I was
Bournemouth.
thinking. I was looking at.
and Nottingham Forest, and you play Bournemouth, Crystal Palace. These next 4 games are the games you have to win. I mean, if you because then you go past this, they play Wolves, and then they go below that. Then you got City, Everton's probably gonna be a scrap. You got West Ham, Newcastle. You got a way tougher schedule after that. So if it's an issue where the manager lost the dressing room, because you look at Leicester's side and they do have talent, especially with Vardy and Maddison. You really
you got Tielemans too.
Yeah,
Harvey Barnes.
No matter who you especially with these, because now, with Leicester, they were 5th. I think I heard pundits say they were 5th 2 years ago. Last year they were in 8th. All it takes for a club like this to be in a relegation scrap is losing your first 7 games. I forget. I think what's his face, McManaman. That guy said there, if you win your first 4 out of 5 games or something like that, you have an 85% chance of staying in the Premier League. And then as opposed to if you lose them, you have a much greater chance of getting relegated.
Mm-hmm.
So Leicester really, really should start making changes as soon as possible. Yeah.
The only defense I can think of is that they're literally 1 win away from clawing their way out, or a win and a draw away from being out of relegation. So it's not all forgotten kind of thing, but it's just you already dug a pretty deep hole.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be tough to turn it around. I don't know.
Well,
It's tough.
what I would especially if I'm Leicester, which you look at the bottom, of the table, and I'm super surprised.
They have 22 goals against.
Yeah. I mean, but you look like West Ham, Wolves, Crystal Palace. Like, these are like solid teams right now. Just in the bottom 5, Nottingham Forest, no disrespect to them. They just got promoted. But like Crystal Palace, Wolves, West Ham, and Leicester, they're all like pretty close to the top 10 last year.
West Ham was like 1 game away from Europa League last year.
Yeah.
Wolves have been consistently top 10 for the longest time. Palace, the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you'd have to expect, like, if you're Leicester, you're not banking on like, oh, I'm going to overtake like West Ham and Wolves in the long run. Like, they're going to turn around. So you got to think like if Villa, Southampton keep winning games, they're doing decent based on their expectations so far this season. You don't want to be the club that's the one not winning, obviously. Obvious to say, but especially this, even if it's this early.
Wise words by Joe.
You don't want to be the club losing games.
You don't want to be the club that's not
Obviously.
winning.
Obviously.
But
Love
for
it.
the,
I love
I
it.
was just thinking of the F1, the
Yeah,
first one
that's-
to cross the finish line is gonna.
Yeah,
win, right?
what's his face?
Yeah, that
Will
guy.
Buxton? Yeah, the first one to cross the finish line
Will win.
is going to win the race.
I honestly love him as a
Yeah,
reporter
he's a
and
goof.
pundit for F1. Love him, but it's just funny because that's something he would say.
Whoever loses the most games is probably going to get relegated. I don't know if that's true.
Maybe, I don't know.
If you had the most losses, are you going to get relegated? Maybe not.
If you don't so if you don't win any games, or you finish with like
You would have to finish with like all ties.
yeah.
No, if you
What is it,
lose
like
the most, if you
32?
lose the most games, you'd have to win a lot more. Like have no ties.
Oh, right. But I was just saying what Andrew said. If you
if
don't
get,
win
like,
anything,
yeah.
if you win 0 games, you have to tie almost all your games
That's
to
what I
stay
mean.
up.
Yeah.
You have to go.
Yeah,
you have to go like no wins.
33 ties.
You have to tie
in
all
the
your games.
38.
You have to go
game
no
season.
wins and like 19 draws and 19 losses, and you get like 19 points.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
need,
that'd
like
get you
30
relegated.
something.
You have
Yeah,
to you have to get like at least
30 something.
I think 30.
30. The math is 42 for sure to stay up.
Oh, Jesus.
Last year, 35 got you relegated. I think, or 30. Everton got 38 last year. So yeah, you
Squeak
have to
that
tie
one
all
out.
your games. So
Yeah,
probably
you definitely want to win at least one.
which they still haven't done yet. Everton actually just got their first win this season, and they're 13th.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, and Everton's having a okay run. I mean, they're not
They have
losing.
5 goals
They're
for,
not-
6 goals against in 7 games.
1
Yeah.
win, 4 ties, 2 losses.
Like, what a weird score line or like stat line for them.
Yeah,
How,
4
yeah, look at this.
4 draws. Like, yeah. I mean, it's they're sitting 16th. Their battle to get out of relegation last season was really hype. But that's really not where Everton want to be. Yeah, they really need to evaluate what's going on and make sure that they don't start they need to just start getting wins. Like they're like those draws, they could come back and really hurt them. But I think the fans just want some security in getting some performances in.
Oh yeah, because they're not a relegation team.
No.
It's just
And I think they're going to get really tired of just hovering in this area year after year, especially with being such an established team.
yeah. The other miscellaneous newsworthy thing is that Digo Costa is back in the Premier League, boys.
Yeah.
Public
Super
enemy,
exciting.
Public enemy number 1. back in the fold. Of course, going to Wolves. Portuguese connection, Brazilian Portuguese connection with Diego Costa. Going to Wolves.
Yeah.
See how that pans out. He could have played against Man City, but I guess he wasn't match fit yet.
Yeah.
For their loss that they just took place. But he'll have another chance October 3rd against West Ham to make his debut for the club.
When
Any expectations for Diego Costa?
I think it's a great signing by Wolves. I mean, he's the type of striker where he's going to just really make life difficult for defense. I mean, he's such a big guy, and he's really physical, which I really like. And he just causes problems and he makes life difficult where, if you don't have as much technical ability, especially in your later years, that's, I think, what Wolves will want, especially with their issues in scoring goals this season. I think having a person like Diego Costa that's going to be in the box and has the experience he has, I think is really going to help them. I would have loved to see him play against City. I mean, just to see how different it would have been with how intense he would have been on the defense, because especially him with his personality, he would have showed up against City and been like, all right, I'm going to work way harder than he's ever has to just go against the champions.
Yeah.
Because he has nothing to lose in his first game back, especially with them being at Molineux.
That's definitely a red card game for him.
Yeah.
That's got
red card in like the 80th minute.
There's not a lot of number 9s like him. Like, no. Holland's big, like Holland's Holland. There's not a lot of number 9, because you do see, like, I go back to Crystal Palace where the defender was like the guy getting on Nunez's nerves and got Nunez a red card. Like Diego Costa is like the opposite. Like he's a striker that's gonna like
he'll piss you off,
piss off the center backs. There's not a lot like that in the EPL right now, to be honest.
No, he's a different breed of player.
Yeah.
He has maybe lots of touch in the last few seasons. And departing Chelsea at the end of the 2017 season, he left the club with 52 goals in the Premier League in 89 appearances.
Great.
But then heading back to Atletico Madrid, only 12 goals in 61 appearances in La Liga. And then a little spell with Atletico Mineiro. I don't know if that's in Spain too. That's in Brazil. That's where he's coming from. To go to Wolves. So
yeah, and he's 33.
Yeah, 33 again. Maybe lost his step, maybe lost a touch a little bit, but he can still probably score. I mean, I would assume that his ability is still there, and even like you just said, just to get under people's skins too. Like I don't know how many red cards he drew from the opposition, how many penalties he drew from the opposition at his time at Chelsea, and his style of play. I think it kind of fits the gritty EPL.
Yeah,
like I don't think he's not he's not a real big finesse guy. He's not going to be there for the tiki taka, kind of goals. He's going to get in there, get dirty, and he's going to scrap. And that's kind of how he's kind of made his way. Let's say the path that he's made, to the point that he was at the apex of his career with Chelsea.
Yeah,
it was like he was awesome. I fucking loved him.
Yeah.
I think he butt heads with Antonio Conte too many times though, and he got kicked out of there. But I loved him there at the club. And we haven't had a real striker since then.
Yeah, when do they? I was gonna ask when they play Chelsea, but like when do they play Tottenham? Because that's, I think, gonna be more interesting when he goes up against Conte. Because that was rough.
Good point.
Like, I don't know. I don't obviously just hear rumors, but I guess Conte let him go via text, like, "Hey, you're done."
Ouch.
That's what I heard.
Oh, it's deep.
What a way to just
just
get your
text
exit.
him. March 4th. Did Wolves already play?
Did I miss one?
Did Wolves and Tottenham already play? Like, they played August 20th.
yeah.
That's why.
August 20th, Tottenham 1-1
not till
nil.
March.
Okay.
Once he's back at the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Chelsea fans probably like love him. I'd be surprised. Like, he's like, I want to stay, and Conte's like, no, you're out. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh, there you go.
October 8th. At the bridge.
October 8th back at the bridge. That'd be fun. A little homecoming.
I'm assuming he'll be ready for that game.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
He'll have some time off now with a break. I don't even know if he's in Spain's squad anymore either.
Oh,
Yeah,
probably
tough.
not. I don't think so.
I doubt it, yeah. Spain kind of had like a little weird rebuild too for a while.
Yeah.
Like, they had some down competitions.
Yeah, they were unreal, and then they had to rebuild.
Yeah, big time. He's 33 now, like we said, so probably not. But I mean, he will get the biggest applause back at Chelsea.
Yeah,
we loved him. He's the one guy you want on your team, but don't want to play ever against. You know what I mean?
I was
Like,
just about to say that.
well, because he
Big time.
he made it clear, he's like, he didn't want to leave, and Conte's like, we're going in a different direction. They went and got Morata.
oh my God.
That
I forgot.
That is that honestly, it's a straight, like, you have Costa, who's like I don't know if he just butted heads with Conte, but he was like an animal for you guys, and he didn't want to leave. And then you just go in this direction, go get Morata, and that was like rough. Yeah. Thoughts?
We've killed careers, man. We've killed careers at Chelsea. We really have. Like,
You're still looking for your number 9 too.
we had Shevchenko. We had Fernando Torres. We had Diego Costa. We had Samuel Eto'o.
Oh, yeah.
We had Morata. We had Higuain. We had Lukaku twice.
Werner.
Timo, that doesn't even count, Joe. And then we get the corpse of Aubameyang coming in for 10 mil. Like, oh, why?
Yeah.
Why this team?
There's
man?
a very, very solid revolving door at Chelsea for both managers and number 9s.
Well, because this whole
Just
thing,
figure one of them out, and
Yeah.
maybe you'll get some success. One. Give me one.
and that's why I was so shocked because
Would you rather take a really, really good manager or a really, really good number 9? Would you take Haaland or would you take Pep?
Pep.
You guys are idiots.
For sure.
what's Haaland gonna do at Chelsea?
Pep still had success that Chelsea would want without a striker,
Yeah,
right? Like at the end of the day, you just want results.
like you stick
no matter-
Haaland at Chelsea, he's not gonna get that many goals probably because just the vision and service is not there, and I don't think they have the ball around the other team's 18 often enough, or gonna create space. But yeah, I mean, there's this whole issue with Drogba, where after he left, I guess like the number 9 shirt's been
Yeah.
cursed.
We haven't had solid number 9 since Drogba scored in the Champions League final against Bayern Munich.
But that's what I thought with Costa coming in, he was like he was solid.
Sorry, yeah, and then we had Diego Costa was the best guy we've had.
Yeah.
since Drogba, 100%. He left in 2017, and so the last 5 years we've been without
Yeah.
a number 9.
And that's why I was so shocked. It's like, oh, like he's just solid guy, exactly what Chelsea need. And then it's like, nope, done.
I would have bought. I think there was little rumor of him coming back like at one point. I don't know who it was
saw that.
with. It might have been with like Maurizio Sarri. I don't know, but I remember those rumblings of him coming back maybe because he wasn't really getting the playing time at Atletico like he thought he was going to, or his production wasn't as good. But we got Higuain instead or something. I don't know. This seems funny, man. I don't know.
KJ is where I got this from. No one slides 40 kilometers an hour into a ditch after a good spell like Chelsea.
Kinda. It's not bad.
Chelsea's the one team where they're like, everything's going great, Champions League final, and then it's like, you're like, oh, it's so quick, just like dumpster
It
fire.
reminds me of a certain team we were talking about for the pod. Just like Italy.
Just like
Italy.
Italy. Chelsea is Italy.
Basically.
Italy is Chelsea.
Win Euros, don't qualify. Just
Win Champions League, finish 4th, fire your coach.
we stick with Mancini. we stick with the coach.
And you stick with Pep. Okay, I think we're good here.
I think we're good.
Like we touched on, no games in the near future, unless you want to watch international friendlies. I think I saw Germany's playing England and Spain's playing Portugal. Those are some like kind of marquee ones
Yeah.
to look out for if you guys really care. But you're probably here for the EPL content if you're listening. So upcoming matches like we touched on, not until October the 1st. Arsenal Tottenham North London Derby, what a way to come back.
Huge game.
Really, really big game. And then we got Liverpool and Brighton, Brighton 4th place right now still, so they're fighting against lowly Liverpool and, whatever place they're in. What place is Liverpool in? 8th. So the big, underdog Liverpool, I guess, going into that match against Brighton. Fulham and Newcastle. Newcastle having good resurgence. Fulham too. Mitrovic, hell of a player right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's just doing what he does best and just score goals.
Yep.
Southampton, Everton, mid-table battle. Everton pick up their first W of the season against West Ham last match. So let's see if Lampard can get them rolling a little bit more. Chelsea and Palace. Of course, we're playing Palace. Like
Palace away.
Palace away. I mean, that's going to be a 3-0 loss for Chelsea. Bournemouth and Brentford. Nothing to say about that one. Battle of the Bees. West Ham and Wolves. See if Digo Costa can get a nice resurgence game against West Ham. Man City, Man United. There we go. The big Manchester derby. That's coming to you on Sunday the 2nd, followed by Leeds and Aston Villa and Leicester and Nottingham. Let's see what happens in that game. See if Brendan Rodgers has a job come Monday morning. Oh, sorry, that is Monday. Come Tuesday morning. See if Brendan Rodgers is in or out of a job at Leicester.
Yeah. I mean, bottom of the table challenge. Gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do for the Manchester Derby because I'm gonna be in Chicago. But definitely, if you're gonna watch anything, definitely watch Arsenal Tottenham and the Manchester Derby.
Early game for Tottenham Arsenal.
Watch a replay if you guys sleep in. But yeah, very big games happening. Gonna really round out the top of the table. First against third, second against fifth. Huge
Fourth
derbies.
against eighth. Brighton versus
Brighton against Liverpool. Yeah, but yeah, 2 derbies. It's gonna be an exciting weekend. DPL,
Big time. Joe, you good?
I'm still trying to figure out what we're gonna do for the Manchester Derby because like we're in Chicago. Just
I'll call you guys.
don't look at anything till Monday. Just watch the replay on Monday.
I'll live commentate for you guys if you want.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, cool. As always, you guys get us on Instagram, you guys get us on Twitter. I've had some good interaction on Twitter recently with some fans, so keep it up. We always like the feedback. Leave comments on YouTube. Anywhere else you guys want to reach us at, like I said, Instagram, Twitter, at @footy_fans. Fans spelled PHANS. Are we good, boys?
We're good. Good.
All right. As always, I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll be tuning in next week after all the week's action.
See you, everyone.
but
Ciao.